Awesome. Welcome everyone to another episode of Interviewing the Experts. Super excited today to be interviewing Emily Rose Summersett, a good friend and a leading mindset expert and success coach who specializes in rapid transformational therapy, also known as RTT. Emily first began learning more about the human brain and human consciousness in 2006 in order to heal her husband, Scott, after a bipolar diagnosis and near suicide. Over 14 years later, she has supported thousands using the same transformative method she used to heal Scott and design and live an exponential life. So we are in for a treat because Emily is not only a skilled practitioner, but she's an amazing person. And so I just want to, welcome you to Sleep Science Academy. Thanks for being here. I'm really excited to learn more about RTT and how it can help us better manage our stress and sleep. So why don't we start off with you just sharing maybe a little bit more about yourself, and then I'd love to get into what RTT is and how we can use it to improve our lives.
Yeah, definitely. So I feel like my husband, Scott, his breakdown to breakthrough is kind of what we called it back in 2006. It really was kind of a catalyst into living our best life, and definitely really sparked my interest in learning more about, human consciousness, neuroscience, really understanding our minds and their connection to our body and why we do the things that we do. Because when Scott was sick, I was like, I really don't understand this. We built this really beautiful life together. And yet, you're, experiencing a lot of anxiety, a lot of depression. And let's figure out what's going on with your mind, with your brain, so that you can start to heal and to live a better life for yourself. And so that one fateful night when he had his breakdown to break through, one of the first books that I found was Eckhart Tolle's A New Earth. And to me, that really explained this duality that we have in our minds. And that was just the beginning for me. And since then, this is what I geek out on. This is my life's purpose. I love doing this work. And I really began to understand that the root of every issue that we experience can be found in our subconscious mind. And the beautiful thing about RTT and a lot of the work that I do, a lot of the tools and the modalities that I use, is that I can go into the subconscious. We can identify, what those beliefs are, and the beliefs are usually connected to some type of experience in the past that that had some kind of really intense emotional energy behind it. That's why it's, it has more control over our minds. Going in there, finding out what those beliefs are, what the habitual thought is, and then from there, interrupting that programming, the brain's programming, and then starting to reprogram new beliefs into the subconscious. And so that's really how we get the job done, especially, when it comes to sleep. There's some kind of belief system in there, some habitual thought that is either keeping someone from falling asleep or staying asleep. And so, it's really a power therapy. And,
I love it. So, why don't we start also by just making a distinction between like the conscious and the subconscious mind? Because a lot of people that don't, aren't exposed to this type of material or don't,
absolutely.
Have maybe some confusion there. So why don't you share a little bit about, what's the difference, and then we can start getting into, how maybe rapid transformational therapy, how it specifically works, and how we can start to, potentially use some of the techniques or tools to support our everyday life, and especially our nights when we're up in bed with these beliefs and these anxieties about, what's going on in the world, what's going on in our lives. But let's start with the distinctions, conscious and subconscious.
Yeah. So our conscious mind is kind of the 5% that allows us to go out there and complete tasks and just kind of get our work done. And then the other 95% of our brain is really the subconscious, which is ultimately our bodies. So when we think a thought, our little neurons, they fire and wire, and they send signals, neurochemicals down through our central nervous system, and they get distributed to the body. So if we have anxiety around sleep, then we start releasing these not so great, neurochemicals like cortisol and adrenaline, and we can actually become addicted to those. But yeah, just really the difference between the quote unquote conscious and the unconscious, subconscious, is kind of how Eckhart explained it all those years ago. Is it really is kind of this 5% that knows that we need to do something to change, that intellectually understands it, is trying to impact the other 95%, which is basically the hardwired program in our mind, body, our entire physical and energetic makeup. So that's why it's like, I know what I need to do to fall asleep, but why can I not do it? It's because the 5% is trying to control the 95%. And so we have to change the 95% in order to get new results in life. And RTT can directly help, people with that.
Yeah, so let's talk about a little bit about so we have the 5% and 95%. So the 95%, most of our thoughts are we're not aware of, right? They're subconscious, or they're not.
And a lot of them are hardwired in. They're habitual. We usually think the same, like 95% of our thoughts usually are the same thoughts that we had the day before. And so until we start to learn new information and change our thoughts, the way we think, we're basically placing our past on our future. And so that's why we don't see any change. So one of the key tools is like, all right, I can't sleep. What new information, what new tools do I need to, start to implement and apply that's going to allow me to start to change the way I think, therefore changing my future.
Emily, why do you think it's so hard for people to really change their beliefs? What do you think is the reason why so many people like hold on to their beliefs like old clothes that they need to throw out? What is it about beliefs that keeps people like just latched on to these things that don't really even, they exist, but they're like, you can't see them, right?
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah. Well, they're just not aware. They're not aware that they can actually change the way they think, that they can literally, rewire, refire those neural pathways, create new synaptic connections. Those are just the little connectors between our neurons when they're firing. And again, our brain is this operating system. And it's just, it runs these programs, fires and wires these neurons, just like a computer program. And so, a good way to explain it is that, when you're on your way to, whether it's the work, the gym, you're driving or walking there, you always kind of follow the same path. And then you kind of blank out. And then the next thing you know, you're at the gym, you're at work, you're at the grocery. That's because you've hardwired it into the subconscious and you're now running a program. And that's important because we want to conserve energy as humans. We don't want to expend a lot of energy. And so learning something new, doing something new is going to require a lot more to change. So it's just easier. We love comfort. We humans love comfort. And so it's easier just to let the operating system do its thing. We don't have to think about it. And obviously we're always going to be seeking out pleasure and trying to avoid pain. That's just one of the rules of the mind.
Yeah.
And so, we associate change with pain in many cases. And again, if we are addicted to the rush of neurochemicals that keep us stuck in this habitual pattern, then it's going to be even more difficult to break, that habit loop, that cycle, that kind of ritual that we like to go through.
Yeah. So I love what you said. So awareness is the first step. It's being, and then being willing to embrace the uncomfortable steps to start to change these programs. I mean, it's really like what I hear you saying is kind of like most people are going through their days kind of like already hypnotized, in these pre-programmed patterns. And so there is very little awareness because we're just, going through our days, and every day kind of usually kind of the same thing. And so it's, I think it's probably really easy for most people to fall into these subconscious patterns of, thinking and believing things that probably aren't true and aren't serving them.
Yeah.
And so with rapid transformational therapy, so this is really cool. I just started to learn about it
Right.
first from you, and then from your teacher, watching videos and listening to some audio. And
Yeah,
so
it's amazing.
amazing. So, regarding the technique itself, so you're helping people become aware of their beliefs.
Mm-hmm.
Then you're helping them install new ones.
Yes.
Is that?
So yeah. So the anatomy of a RTT session is, so basically what I would do was I would first induce you into hypnosis. And hypnosis is a totally natural state. We're all kind of in that, as you mentioned before, kind of in a hypnotic state naturally throughout the day, especially when we are, watching television, we're reading a book. They don't call it television programming for nothing. It is programming.
Yeah.
But our minds are very relaxed, and our brain waves, they slow down. And ideally, in order to bring in new beliefs, we want to slow our brain waves down to an alpha or theta state, because that allows our subconscious to open. Ideally theta, and then delta is completely sleeping.
Yeah.
But yeah, alpha, theta, we're very open and receptive. And so it makes it very easy for us to put new suggestions, new programming in. So once I induce my clients into hypnosis, I do a few suggestibility tests to see how relaxed and receptive they are. And then from there, I regress them. And this is really key, because once I'm able to gain access to the subconscious, then I can go in there and we can find out, all right, what are these life experiences, these imprints that were made usually during childhood that had this extremely high emotional quotient to it, that is the reason, the cause, why you're not, in the case of your clients in your community, sleep. How does sleep become difficult? And our subconscious mind, it stores and houses everything that's happened in our life. And a lot of times, again, because we're not aware, it's just under the surface. These beliefs, these experiences are under the surface. And so RTT goes straight in. We find out what they are. And a lot of times, my clients think they know what the experience was that created this issue. But a lot of times we find out that they had no idea. They had totally forgotten about it, especially as we get older as adults. A lot of that stuff we forget. Sometimes we block it out. But after the regression, we create these interrupters to interrupt the pattern of belief, the pattern of thought. Then we start to reframe their beliefs and their thoughts. And then we provide a transformational, basically a recording. So at the end of the session, I provide a transformation, which is basically starting to reprogram their mind with new positive suggestions that are directly linked to the result that they want. And when I do that, I record it, and then I send it to my clients, and then they're able to listen to it for 21 days. And ideally 21 days in a row without fail, because as adults, we need repetition to rewire those in. As children, we're actually walking around kind of in low level theta alpha, so it's very easy for children to learn new things. That's why, everyone's like, all right, before your child turns 8, teach them the foreign languages, teach them the good habits. It's because we're naturally, our little subconscious minds are open cups. Right. And so it's easy for it to go in, and it gets wired in, and then our analytical mind gets sealed up, and all those beliefs, whether they're true or false, get trapped in there. And we, they're running the show underneath the surface. I always kind of think of, it's the puppeteer that makes us do things, these programs. So it's really imperative that as adults, we just have to use repetition. And I like to tell my clients, just think of it as, anytime you want to learn to do something new that you're really passionate about, like maybe cooking, foreign language, new exercise program, you're okay with having to repeat and repeat and repeat until you get it locked in. Yeah. And it's no different when it comes to transcending your issues, whether it's sleep, whether it's addiction, whether it's weight, whether it's relationship, you know,
So
anything.
there's a lot of different problems and challenges you can solve. Obviously, most of what we suffer from is in our heads. And so what I hear you saying is the first step is to induce somebody into hypnosis. So get them into that relaxed theta state, and then help them have the awareness as to where this belief or event
through regression
was created. And then from there, it's then figuring out what the meaning was that they applied to this event, and then helping them reframe, create some new meanings, and then install and come up with some new beliefs and meanings that they can practice and really, create this neuroplasticity in their mind over 21 days to have that transformation.
Yeah.
Is that it?
That's it. You got it.
That sounds pretty good. So, okay. So for everyone that's listening, I mean, that's pretty unique. I mean, there's a lot of different psychological, techniques out there, NLP and hypnosis. And it sounds like it's a combination of a lot of these different modalities, which are,
definitely.
Yeah, that's amazing. It's,
I was going to say that it combines the neuro-linguistic programming, cognitive behavioral therapy, psychotherapy, and hypnotherapy. So it's really the super therapy of combining all. And Marisa, who created it, she has, basically used her 30 years of experience of working with her patients and clients to create this therapy. So it's really, really powerful.
And so what makes it rapid? I mean, so I like, everyone wants fast results, right? So
1 to 3 sessions.
1 to 3 sessions. Okay.
Yes.
And so tell us a little bit more about, is it just the combination of all these different techniques that are, combined in this process that make it so effective? Or
it really is. It is. By combining, those 4 therapies, it can get results very quickly. And, what I've realized just through practicing with my own clients is that it really comes down to those subconscious beliefs. And if we can interrupt them and, rewire those neural pathways, then they're going to see, immediate results. And most people just need 1 session. If there's, if there's been a pretty intense trauma in a person's past, that can take a little bit longer, but for the most part, 1 session is able to really transform the way someone thinks and the way they experience the world.
That's amazing. So Emily, what would you say to someone, that says, oh, I can't be hypnotized? I mean, somebody obviously has to be willing and open to be, but what would you, I mean, have you heard that? Has anyone, said?
Yeah, we have this belief that has been passed on, this program, that we can't be hypnotized. And that's not true, because again, when you're watching television, when you're, on YouTube, watching Netflix, you're in a natural state of hypnosis. And hypnosis is a natural state. It's just a natural human state of, again, when we're relaxed, those brain waves, they slow down and we become more receptive, and we can allow the information to come in. And that's another example I like to give is I've always been an athlete. I love to ride my bike. I love to run. When we're running and we're kind of in that flow state, our brains are more relaxed. And we know this because a lot of times when we're exercising, we have these amazing divine downloads, and that's because our subconscious is open. And it can be more open to, this is probably going to go a little too far for some people, but to the quantum field. And I know I'm speaking your language, Devin.
Yeah.
And we are connected to that intelligence. And so, again, hypnosis is just a relaxed brain. It's a relaxed mind. It's open to new information.
Got it. Yeah. So even just the belief that I can't be hypnotized is something that, someone, if you're watching this and you're thinking that you're one of those people, that would be the first belief maybe to look at.
Definitely. Yeah.
So, in my practice, obviously I help, exhausted insomniacs, CEOs, executives that can't sleep.
Such important work.
And so, and I hear this all the time, people, they're like, Devin, I'm laying in bed and my mind is just racing. I have this racing thoughts. what would you say in your bag of tools? Because I know you have a lot. You've studied a lot of different things. I always like to ask my guests, what they would recommend, or if they know of any, techniques, tools, something actionable that people tonight that maybe are watching this that aren't quite ready to book a session with you or hire me as their sleep coach.
Right.
What are some things that you would recommend to help people that struggle with insomnia and a racing mind?
Yeah. Insomnia is just a sign of a overly active, disturbed mind.
Yes.
Today, in today's day and age, we have, especially as productive, high achieving adults, we have a lot on our minds.
Yeah.
And so, and it's so funny. I immediately went back to my mom. When I was a little girl, anytime I got nervous about taking a test the next day or my brain got really active, she would just always tell me, and it's like the counting the sheep thing. She would say, I want you to visualize either the numeral or the word 1 spelled out and just repeat it over and over again. So when our minds are really hot, we want to take the heat out of our minds and bring it back into our body. But the best thing you can do is be aware that, oh, there goes this little program that I'm running again, that I get anxious about. I have this like nonstop brain activity, nonstop thought. There it is. I can either entertain it and let it run its course and it's going to keep me up all night, or I can say, there it is. All right, let me come out of my brain, get back into my body, just become more aware of my body and how it feels, and just use breath work. Breath work's amazing for it too. Just start to breathe long breaths in through the nose, let it come into your lungs, into your stomach. Long inhales in through the nose, exhale through the mouth. And it's just really about you being aware of the program you're running, addressing it and saying, you know what, I'm choosing to create a new program. And this new program is me slowing down my thoughts, coming into my body, using my breath work. If I need to, use, a mantra or, just anything that would make you happy, just something singular, like, 1.
Keep it simple.
1,
I like it.
1, and that'll help you slow your brain down. And you'll notice that your brain will, it'll want to, latch back on to whatever the thought process is. When you notice it, just, if you have to say stop out loud, stop it, and then come back to whatever the word is. And I notice both saying it, internally. If you need to say it out loud, you can do that as well. And then also visualizing it. It takes more focus to do that. That's how it allows your brain to slow down, because your brain's like, when you have this like
fire
nonstop,
brain.
kind of crazy mind going, going off, all these things that you have to do tomorrow and, what you were worried about today. It really helps you laser focus on one thing, and you just keep coming back to it, and it'll get easier and easier. Just know that it takes practice. You've practiced having a busy mind at night, and it's going to take practice for you to not have a busy mind at night.
Man, I love that. I mean, there's so many things that based off what you just said. First, I love how simple it is. Just 1. The number 1, and really, I think the big thing is like becoming the witness. Really stepping into that seat of awareness and recognizing, okay, well, I'm not my thoughts, and just, stepping into that place and then redirecting your focus on the number 1, which is such a simple thing to do. Not easy, but simple. It's funny. I was actually, I'm always, looking at the latest research of, sleep science and devices and, things like that. And there's actually this device now, speaking of, like you said, your head gets hot. They actually have this cooling device they're selling that you put on your head. And it's like, they have them for the bed, but now they have them for your forehead. And it actually has some scientific validation to help cool your brain. Cause it literally, your brain is revving up. It's creating energy, and it's getting hot.
All those neurons are wiring, and that's activity.
Yeah. The truth is, I mean, obviously you don't, there's you don't need anything. You have everything already,
Mm-hmm.
right? You don't need
Yeah.
a cooling head device to cool off your mind. I mean, that's treating the
Yeah.
symptom. We're talking about treating the root cause,
Yeah. Yeah.
um, which is the thinking.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you. So that's a beautiful technique, simple technique. And I also like that you said it's a practice, because
It is. Yeah.
a lot of this I think is a practice, right? I mean, I know I'm always practicing things, and how do you get good at anything is like you said, you practice. You know, you
Mm-hmm.
want to learn how to cook a meal, you want to learn how to have an instrument, play an instrument.
Yeah.
And so tell us a little bit more too about, so you have the hypnotherapy, we have the reprogramming, we have this rapid transformation with
Mm-hmm.
like within one session,
Mm-hmm.
which is remarkable, because a lot of times people spend, I mean,
Right.
people listening to this are probably like maybe in a little bit of disbelief or denial, because they've been in
Right.
therapy for armchair therapy for like 5 years, right?
Right. Right.
So
Yeah.
what do you tell people that are like, you know, maybe a little skeptical, or they're like, well, I don't know if this is, you know, I've been in therapy for 5 years and I'm still, you know, how would you address that, Emily? Because I'm sure there's some people that are going to see this that are probably in that
Of course.
position,
Yeah. Yeah.
maybe even a little angry, like, oh, this,
Oh
like,
yeah.
you
Yeah.
know. So give us your insight there.
Yeah. You know, obviously any form of therapy is wonderful, because when you go to therapy, that's you saying, you know what, um, there's something that I want to change in my life. And I know that I need help and support, and I need someone to help me with that. And I think that's wonderful. You know, that's the first step. And, you know, what I know about traditional talk therapy is, you know, it is more focused on the problem, which what we focus on expands.
Mm,
Um,
yeah.
and it's also a lot around our feelings. You know, how do you feel? How does that make you feel? Which is wonderful too, but we can get really stuck on that, which I think that, you know, if you need to have someone with you, you know, a therapist with you for months, for years, then that's your choice. And that's wonderful. You know, a lot of people, they do need someone by their side to hold them accountable, to be kind of that guide and support. But for people who are just like, you know what, I'm ready to make a huge change right now, and I'm ready to be done with this. I don't need that continual support. Then rapid transformational therapy is a great choice for that person. And then obviously, you know, I have a lot of clients who, you know, we do one session around a certain issue, but they're like, you know what, I want to work on this other issue and this other issue. In which case, you know, I can, you know, provide a higher level of attention and service. But I also incorporate a lot of life coaching and mindset coaching with that type of container. But yeah, also really quickly, I wanted to give them another kind of tool that they can use.
Yeah,
Um,
please.
so we basically, if we want to change the way we think, we really need to become friends with our mind. And when I say that, like in terms of sleep, it's like, you know, you tell your mind what it'll do anything that you want it to do. And as long as it thinks that it's in your best interest and that it's guiding you towards pleasure and not pain, our subconscious mind will do it. So if you tell yourself, you know, sleep is difficult, it's challenging, I can never fall asleep, I always wake up, it's impossible, then our brain's like, okay, our subconscious is like, all right, it is hard to sleep. And and so we kind of get
Yeah.
used to that process. So it's like, instead, our minds are either they're tools. They either use us or we can use them. So you tell your brain, you know what, I love sleep, it is easy, it's effortless for me to fall asleep. You know, I can fall asleep and I stay asleep and I wake up when I'm ready.
Mm.
I wake up at the time that feels great to me, or my required time. And so I think that's just a really amazing practice, you know, for your audience, for your community. Like, befriend your brain, befriend your mind, and start to shift, you know, your dialogue that you have with it.
Yeah,
Instead of
that's
saying it's
powerful.
difficult, it's easy, I love it, I fall asleep within, you know, 5 minutes time. and sleep just comes to me. I don't have to chase it.
I love that. Yeah. Change your story, change your
Mhm.
story and positive self-talk,
Yeah.
and then allow it to naturally happen. That's beautiful. So last question here,
Yeah.
for you, Emily. Well, two. So first off, where can people get more information if they're interested in maybe a session with you and learning more about, the work that you do? Where would people watching this go?
Yeah, so if you want to go to my website, is just emilyroseSummersett.com. You can go there. I actually started putting out hypnotherapy meditations every Monday. This is just something I started doing recently. If you look on my homepage, you can actually, sign up to receive those in your inbox every Monday. Also, if you're curious to see if RTT would be a benefit to you, I also offer free private consultations. I can obviously, I'd love to speak to you about what's going on with your kind of sleep patterns, and see how I might be able to support you in that way.
Awesome.
But
We'll make sure we'll put the information in the description below for people to find you.
yeah,
And so final question here.
yeah,
Why is a great night's sleep important for you, Emily?
because I feel amazing when I wake up in the morning. Cranky. I've got energy for my workouts. Exercise is a big part of my, routine during the day. I can be more present for my, husband, for my friends, for my family, for my clients. Um, yeah, I just feel good. And sleep it really is a natural state, and we're hardwired for it. And it's just, yeah, again, these beliefs, these thought patterns that, get in the way. So if we can just come back to, I was born a sleeper. As a baby, we can sleep through anything,
Yeah.
and get back to that. Then that's just the start. We've got it made.
That's awesome. Emily, so thank you so much for your time, for the work that you're doing in the world. I appreciate you as a human being and a friend.
Yeah,
Uh, and I look forward to hearing more about the work that you're doing next time we get together.
you
And
know it.
yeah, so we'll leave it at that, guys. I'll put, like I said, everyone, I'll put some links below this video for you to reach out to Emily, follow her on social media, check out her meditations, and
Yeah.
until next time, sleep tight, and we'll see you on the next episode. Thanks a lot.